Hi, and welcome all to see a weekly message from the founder. This is your host, Marci from Hungary, and I want to greet everyone in the name of Christian Youth Association. Each week we look into CS founder, Pastor Ock Soo Park's sermons. This past Sunday, we heard a beautiful story of the country of Kiribati. On this gorgeous island, whenever the sun sets and then rises up the next morning, it seems as if it appears in the ocean. A little boy told his mother once, crying, how he feared the sun would not come back up again. But his mother comforted him, telling him that there were dwarves living under the ocean, whose job is to repair the sun after it crashes to the ground, and in the next morning they push it back really hard to the surface, to the sky. You can see that every time day comes after night. The only people who feel afraid of night are the ones who do not believe that there will be a morning. We have bright days and we have dark days, but we should not fall into despair. Night is also part of our lives, and God is always taking care of us. If there was no night, we would never rest, just work all the time. So we can see God's grace through this. Now, let us listen to a short summary of the sermon on Matthew chapter 2, verses 1 through 15.
예수님이 오셔서 우리 너무 기뻤습니다.
In Matthew chapter 2, when Jesus came, it was so joyful.
동방의 박사들이 와서 예수님께
The
경배하고
wise men from the east, they worshipped Jesus.
헤롯이 예수님 죽이려고 하니까
When King Herod was trying to kill baby
애굽으로 내려가라.
Jesus, then the angel would say, go down to Egypt.
그래서 헤롯이 왔을 때 이미 예수님은 베들레헴에 없었어요.
So when King Herod had come to Bethlehem, Jesus was not around.
우리는 어떤 일을 당할 때
Everyone, when we face certain thing,
종종 하나님을 불신할 때가 많아요.
time to time we distrust God.
이번엔 안 도울 거야.
Oh, maybe this time God is not going to help me.
이번엔 안 될 거야.
This time He's not going to help me.
하나님 우리를 안 도우면 누굴
If
돕습니까?
God doesn't help us, who would He help?
어려울 때가 있고
There are difficult times,
힘들 때가
there are
있고
hard times.
그럴 때 있어요.
It's true there are times like
근데
that.
너무 신기한 것은
But what is amazing is
하나님 우리를 정확하게 아시고
God knows us so accurately.
우리의 내일을 10년 후를 20년 후를 다 준비하고 계셨다는 걸 정확히 아는 거예요.
He knows our tomorrow and 10 years later and 20 years later. He was preparing everything for us.
우리 눈으로 보이는 것만
Not
말고
only the things that you can see with your
눈에
eyes,
안 보이지만
although it's not visible.
우리 속에 살아 역사하는 하나님의 역사를 헤아려 봅시다.
Let's count the work of God that He's doing in our life.
하나님 우리 얼마나 놀랍게 하셨습니까?
How did He make us amazing?
때때로 염려하죠.
Folks, you're worried time to time, right?
하나님 뭐라고 말씀하신지
You
아십니까?
know what God said?
아무것도 염려하지 마라.
Do not worry about anything.
내가 책임질게.
I would be in charge.
믿으세요.
So believe it.
If we could give a title for this sermon, it would be God Who Protects Us. I found this message so comforting, especially in the uncertain times of COVID. There was a part when Pastor mentioned how God knows our tomorrow, our 10 years from now, our 20 years from now. And even though it is not visible for us, let's count the work God has already done in our lives and is doing right now, because He really blesses us. Now, to discuss it a little deeper, I would like Maeva from France to join me again.
Hi.
And also Pauline from the UK.
Hello.
Hi guys, it's so nice to see you again. How has been your week so far? Maeva?
I felt very tired and weak, as you know, but it was a good week, thanks to God.
It's good. And Pauline, for you?
Yeah, it was very busy, but it was also very productive. And but overall, it was a really good week.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Okay. I think all of us had really busy weeks.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I think this sermon and always just calming ourselves is a good time. So did you have any like outstanding points from the sermon that you would like to share with us? Maeva, do you have anything to share?
Yeah. For me, it was when the pastor said that if there's something you can't see with your eyes or it's not visible, we have to let God do His work, not be worried. We don't have to be worried about anything, and we have to trust God. The only thing we have to do is believe, and especially at this moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I totally agree with Mayeva. The most impressive part was the fact that we have to always trust in God, and that Pastor Oak is an example to us of how he had to struggle and go through hard times of preaching the gospel, such as not having any shoes or not having any food, those essential stuff. But God always made a way, and he always provided for him. And so it's a true testimony, and it's something that we can learn.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know if you guys know that there is a documentary on Pastor Park's life that hopefully will be available very soon online as well. So I hope that you will get a chance to see it, to watch it. But for me, yes, all the testimonies that he shares are always so touching, because you can see that he is a very simple man. He is a human just like any of us. And still, God can work through him because he lets him. So he really
Yes.
lives by faith.
Yeah.
Amen.
Amen. Yeah.
And also, I'm sure that throughout his life, he must have had many concerns, many hardships, and still he could see how God worked in his life. And even in this sermon, he mentioned how God has prepared, for example, the angel when Joseph was to send Mary away when he found out that she was pregnant. And already God has prepared the angel to tell him that this is my son, so you should not send this woman away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
true.
So have you ever experienced such thing in your lives that you didn't realize how it's going to work out, but God has already made plans and he has already established his work in your life?
Yeah. Before I got to university, I was a little bit upset about money because I know that I have to help my mother with my brother and sisters, and I also have to make economies. So yes, I was a little bit upset, but after I had to work for 2 weeks, and they really want to take me for an indeterminate contract. Then I have a babysitting for the year and more scholarship than I um, expected. So I see how God acts in my life and protect my family. So yeah.
Yeah, this is so wonderful, because I think many times we think that, oh yes, God only can help in like spiritual levels, like very high and
Yeah.
intellectual things, but actually
yeah.
things like a scholarship he helps with, and this is so amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, I can totally relate to Mayeva as well. I had a similar situation last year as well, where I thought that I wouldn't get a job, or I would be unemployed for the rest of my life, or I didn't have any career aspirations. But looking back at it now, all the prayers worked out, and the worrying was, I would probably think, why would I worry so much? Why did I worry so much back then?
Mm, yes.
Yeah. So
And
God always makes a way.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Provides.
Even, yeah, he does. Even as Pastor mentioned, when the COVID first broke out, especially in Europe, It was almost exactly like 1 year ago. And how in the church there was a brother who has already prepared online sermons and the online platforms so that the sermons could be spread. And how amazing this is that we had no idea that there was going to be a global pandemic that will last so long, and the online platforms were already established. So I
Oh
think this
yeah,
is like
Mhm.
mind-blowing.
it is. It's amazing how God
Yeah.
prepares strategically what we should do. Sometimes we don't even understand why he
Mm.
tells us to do, why he tells us to do these things. And then, later on, we understand in the future why he did that, why he told us to do those
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, there are many times, even like in the Bible, there are so many times when I'm just shocked by some of the stories and the parables. For example, like Joseph, how he was sent away to Egypt. He had no idea why. For many years, he had to suffer as a slave. And then in the end, it was all because God has chosen him when he was a child to go to Egypt and to save thousands and thousands of people.
Oh,
And
yeah.
yeah, so if you guys remember at the end of the sermon, Pastor said that we should open our eyes because it was the eyes of faith that allowed us to feel and sense the invisible God's heart and protection in our life. And I think this is beautiful. On this, I would like to share a Bible verse with you as well, from the Gospel of John, chapter 14, verse 1. Let not your heart be troubled. Ye believe in God, believe also in me. So let's put all our trust and faith in God and not be afraid. So thank you so much, Maiva and Pauline, for being here with me today again.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you
you.
so
It was
much.
pleasure.
Yeah,
Yes, it was a pleasure to
yeah.
be in this podcast.
I'm really grateful as well. Thank you so much. And also, thank you all for listening to SIA Weekly Message from the Founder. And if you enjoyed it, please share it on your social media. If you don't want to miss our next episode, make sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at cya.europe. Have a beautiful week. Stay safe. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye. Bye-bye.